When people talk about the most unstoppable forces to ever step on a basketball court, names like Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan usually come up. But in the year 2000, there was a version of Shaquille O'Neal so overwhelming, so dominant, that even NBA legends admitted they had never seen anything like it. This wasn't just basketball dominance, it was a physical takeover of the league. Shaq didn't just win MVP in 2000, he made the entire NBA look powerless. But how did a player who once showed up to training camps out of shape, spent more time making rap albums and movies, and got swept out of the playoffs 5 different times, suddenly flip the switch and produce the most dominant season in NBA history? The story of 2000 Shaq is about more than stats. It's about a superstar who was criticized as lazy, a coach who found the perfect way to challenge him, and a power struggle with a young Kobe Bryant that nearly tore the Lakers apart before they built a dynasty. Shaquille O'Neal entered the NBA in 1992 as the #1 overall pick for the Orlando Magic, and right away, he looked like the future of basketball. He was massive, 7 feet 1 inch, over 300 pounds, but moved with quickness that big men weren't supposed to have. He dunked with such force that he literally shattered backboards. Fans loved him, kids wanted to be him, and the league quickly crowned him one of its biggest attractions. Statistically, Shaq's first 7 years were absurd. Nearly 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game on almost 60% shooting. He was an all-star, an all-NBA fixture, even led the league in scoring once. On paper, he was already an all-time great, but there was always a problem. Shaq never came into a season in shape. Off-seasons weren't for training, they were for enjoying life. He filmed movies like Blue Chips and Kazam, recorded rap albums, starred in commercials, and became a larger-than-life personality. He admitted to partying, eating whatever he wanted, and not taking conditioning seriously. And the results showed. Despite all that talent, he couldn't get over the hump. He made the finals once with Orlando in 1995, only to get swept by Hakeem Olajuwon's Rockets. In fact, from 1994 through 1999, Shaq's teams were swept out of the playoffs 5 times. To critics, he was the classic case of wasted potential, a superstar who cared more about himself than winning. Legends like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Walton called him out. Even Jerry West, the Lakers GM who brought him to Los Angeles, started to question his commitment. And maybe most. GM who brought him to Los Angeles started to question his commitment. And maybe most importantly, his young teammate Kobe Bryant thought Shaq wasn't serious enough about greatness. Shaq was still beloved by fans, but the whispers grew louder. He'll never win a championship. Everything changed in the summer of 1999. The Lakers, desperate to finally turn talent into titles, hired Phil Jackson as head coach. Jackson wasn't just another coach. He was the Zen master, the man who led Michael Jordan's Bulls to 6 championships. He had credibility, discipline, and a unique way of connecting with his players. Shaq had already gone through 5 coaches in his first 5 seasons, never fully respecting any of them. But Jackson was different. That summer, Shaq actually visited Jackson in Montana after hearing he lived nearby. When O'Neal arrived, Phil wasn't home yet, so Shaq waited and looked around. He saw all of Jackson's championship trophies. When Jackson walked in, he noticed Shaq staring at them. His first words, "You can get one of those if you listen to me." Shaq's reply was simple, "I believe you." Then came a strange moment that defined their relationship. Jackson took Shaq to his property, where a huge tree had fallen. Phil hooked it up to his boat and asked Shaq to help push it into the water. Shaq struggled, eventually had to swim back from the middle of the lake, exhausted. Jackson didn't need to say much. He had challenged Shaq physically, and the message was clear. If you want a ring, you need discipline. For the first time in his career, Shaq respected a coach. When Jackson told him to lose 15 pounds, get in shape, and be ready to play 40 minutes a night, Shaq listened. By the time training camp began, Shaq was in the best shape of his life. At 345 pounds, he wasn't just huge, he was muscular, explosive, and intimidating. And for the first time, people around the league started to wonder if he could finally unlock his true potential. But Phil Jackson's toughest job wasn't just motivating Shaq, it was managing the storm brewing between Shaq and Kobe Bryant. Kobe was only 21, but already obsessed with being the greatest. He wanted the ball in his hands at all times. He studied Jordan, copied his moves, and believed he was destined to be the man. When Jackson announced that the Lakers would run the triangle offense, a system designed to flow through the team and especially through Shaq, Kobe wasn't happy. Shaq loved it, but Kobe resisted, constantly breaking plays to go one-on-one. It frustrated everyone to the point where Shaq and his teammates developed a secret signal. If Kobe was forcing it, they just wouldn't pass him the ball. Then fate intervened. Kobe injured his wrist in preseason and missed 6 weeks. Suddenly, the offense flowed perfectly. Shaq dominated inside, teammates bought into the system, and the Lakers jumped out to an 11-4 record. For Shaq, it was validation. With Kobe sidelined, he could prove he wasn't just big, he was unstoppable. People often think Shaq's game was just brute force and dunks. And yes, he dunked more than anyone, but 2000 Shaq was much more refined. He had the black tornado spin move, where he'd feel the defender's weight leaning into him, then whip around the other way for an easy basket. He had soft hooks, turnaround jumpers, and surprisingly nimble footwork for someone his size. He wasn't Hakeem Olajuwon, but he didn't need to be. His combination of power and agility was unique in NBA history. Defensively, he took another leap. For the first time, Shaq committed to being great on both ends. He rotated faster, protected the paint, and averaged a career high in blocks. In the first 15 games, he was swatting 3.5 shots per night. Opponents who used to fear him offensively now couldn't get near the rim. And when Charles Barkley tried to stand up to him in a game, Shaq literally fought him, throwing the basketball at his head. The message was clear. This version of Shaq wasn't here to joke around. When Kobe returned in December, the Lakers' chemistry collapsed. They kept winning because Shaq was too dominant to let them lose. But behind the scenes, things were ugly. Nobody liked Kobe. He kept to himself, never bonded with teammates, and his obsession with being the top dog rubbed everyone the wrong way. Glenn Rice, the team's third star, also hated the triangle and tried to force his own offense. By January, the Lakers lost 6 of 9 games, including a humiliating 24-point loss to the Spurs. Rumors swirled about trades, and the team looked close to falling apart. But then came a turning point. On February 4th, against the Utah Jazz, the team that had eliminated them twice before, the Lakers dominated. Shaq blocked 4 shots in the first quarter. Kobe played suffocating defense, and they won by 46 points. It was the 9th biggest win in franchise history, and it completely flipped their morale. From there, the Lakers rattled off a 19-game winning streak. Their defense locked teams down, Shaq continued to destroy everyone in the paint, and suddenly the Lakers looked unbeatable. On March 6, 2000, Shaq's 28th birthday, the legend of his MVP season reached its peak. Facing the Clippers, he went off for 61 points and 23 rebounds. He was unstoppable, dunking, spinning, bullying defenders like they were kids. It was the last time anyone scored 60-plus points in a game without hitting a three-pointer until Giannis did it in 2023. That's how rare it was. By the end of the season, Shaq averaged 29.7 points, 13.6 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 3 blocks on 57% shooting. He directly accounted for about 40% of the Lakers' offense. They finished 67-15, the 6th best record in NBA history at the time, with the best defense in the league just 1 year after ranking 23rd. Shaq wasn't just the most dominant scorer, he was the most impactful player in the world. There was no debate about MVP. Shaq won it easily, and he should have been the first unanimous MVP in history. But one voter, Fred Hickman, gave his vote to Allen Iverson. Shaq still won in a landslide, but he never forgot it. "That idiot messed up history," he said later. Still, the award mattered less than what came next. The playoffs were where Shaq's reputation was on the line. First round, Sacramento Kings. The Lakers were pushed to a deciding Game 5. Shaq delivered 32 points, 18 rebounds, and total dominance. Lakers advanced. Second round, Phoenix Suns. Easier. Shaq averaged 30 and 16, and the Lakers rolled in 5 games. Then came Portland in the Western Conference Finals. The Blazers were deep, disciplined, and had 2 bigs, Arvydas Sabonis and Rasheed Wallace, who could at least make Shaq work. The series was a war. In Game 1, Shaq dropped 41, but the Blazers fought back, even building a 15-point lead in Game 7. With the Lakers' season slipping away, everything changed in the 4th quarter. Portland couldn't score. Shaq started punishing them, and then came the iconic play. Kobe driving down the lane, lobbing it up, and Shaq throwing down the alley-oop with both hands, screaming to the sky. The Lakers survived, and that moment became the symbol of the Shaq-Kobe dynasty. In the finals, Shaq faced the Indiana Pacers. They had no one who could stop him. Game 1, 43 points, 19 rebounds. Game 2, 40 points, 24 rebounds. The Pacers tried everything: double teams, hard fouls, even injuring Kobe when Jalen Rose slid under his landing foot, but nothing worked. Kobe missed Game 3, came back in Game 4 on a bad ankle, and hit clutch shots in overtime to steal the win. But the finals were Shaq's stage. In Game 6, he closed the series with 41-12, sealing his first championship. For the finals, he averaged 38 points, 16.7 rebounds, and nearly 3 blocks on 61% shooting. That's not just dominance, it's absurd. To this day, it ranks as one of the greatest finals performances ever. When the dust settled, Shaq had delivered one of the greatest single seasons in NBA history. Regular season MVP nearly unanimous. Finals MVP, one of the best final stat lines ever. A 67-win team that transformed from drama-filled to unstoppable. And a playoff run of 30.7 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. Even Jerry Buss, the Lakers owner, admitted, "I've never seen anybody dominate like that, ever." Shaq wasn't the most skilled center ever. He wasn't the most disciplined. But in 2000, he combined size, strength, and enough finesse to create a version of himself that was truly unfair. Kevin Garnett once described guarding him: "Go home, knock the foundation out of your house, and try to hold the wall up as it falls on you." That's what it's like holding Shaq. If prime Shaq played today, he would force teams to completely rethink basketball. Centers weigh 240 to 250 pounds now. Shaq was 345, faster than them, stronger than them, and just as athletic. Coaches would have to roster extra bigs just to survive foul trouble. The truth is simple: 2000 Shaquille O'Neal wasn't just dominant, he was inevitable. He didn't just beat opponents, he broke them. And that season stands as the ultimate reminder that when he cared enough, no one in the history of the game could stop him.